Everyone, and welcome to Follow Your Heart here on the Natural Parent Magazine. I'm Ann Cullen, and this video today is for you. This video is for you if you are currently parenting and you want to parent differently than you were raised, or you are thinking about becoming a parent and you want to parent differently than the way you were raised. Or, anybody else who maybe just wants to know a little bit about dealing with the past. So maybe you're never going to be a parent and you are still thinking about your childhood. So this video is for all of you. Now, the interesting thing is we know that what happens to us in the first years of our lives matters more than anything else in shaping who we become. And it matters possibly more than your genes in some cases. So what we know is the relationship that you have with a primary caregiver in the first year or two, and then those early relationships with both your parents and the other people around you really shape who you become, how you respond to the world, what you believe, the kind of success you have in your life or don't. We are social creatures. Humans are born genetically with the ability to talk, for example. But if we grow up in isolation and we're never spoken to, then we will not learn to talk. So this is what I mean by, the relationships you have in the early years actually can matter more than your genes. So if you were brought up in the first years of your life, so and it's not really, there's no day when there's like a button that's pushed and it doesn't matter anymore. Your childhood actually lasts for a long time, but I'm speaking specifically of those first 5 years, let's say. If you were brought up in those first years not being seen or heard for who you truly are, then that's going to have long-term impact in your life. If you are seen and heard, what does that look like? Well, basically, we're born attaching to this primary caregiver. And we do that because as a baby, we can't survive without that primary caregiver. So we have this drive to stay alive. We have drives to eat and be cared for, to be warm and nurtured and in this relationship. So we communicate our needs, and we can't help it. That's what we do. That's what we do when we're first born. Well, then what happens is our caregiver either responds to us appropriately or they don't. And sometimes they can respond to us very inappropriately, like not responding to us at all, or being violent with us. Sometimes they can respond to us appropriately, sometimes, but not respond appropriately to us at other times. So it can be a really mixed bag. So this is how attachment is formed. We know this is all about attachment theory, but we know so much more than we used to about all of this, and we know how much it actually matters. So if you were not brought up being seen and heard, you might have had your physical needs met, but you might not have had your need for authenticity being met, which means you weren't allowed to be the person that you truly were. You weren't allowed to perhaps feel the feelings you felt. You were maybe told, big boys don't cry. Somehow you learned either implicitly or explicitly that it's not okay to be angry. So it depends on how your parents responded to you. If you were having a so-called tantrum, when you were expressing those big feelings, how they responded to you, the kinds of words they used with you, did they empathize with you, did they connect with you, what was it like? So depending on what was going on, you then formed beliefs, and you also decided who you truly are at that time. And you decided it was more important, we all decide this, it's more important for this person to pay attention to me than it is for me to speak what's true for me. So if it meant I'm not allowed to be sad, so I'll shove down the sadness so I can be accepted by this person and into this family, then we'd shove down the sadness. These are just examples. Your situation is very unique to you. But, you know, this is something we really need to consider. And if we sort of address what our childhood was like and how we were impacted by it, if we heal from any, traumas or anything hanging on from that time, whether they were small or big, if we make peace with it, if we practice forgiveness of the people that looked after us, if we accept them for how they truly are as well, if we do this, then we're more likely to be able to meet our own children's needs, to make sure they are seen and heard and allowed to be their authentic selves. So until you accept yourself for how you truly are, and are able to express that, it's really, really hard, maybe impossible, for you to give that gift to your children, for them to also then be their authentic selves. You'll often parent through your own unmet childhood needs. And this is what happens. So if you need some support around this, I would love to hear from you. I have a program called New Beginnings. It's a 12-week program that some people have done self-paced in only 6 weeks. There are all kinds of options for how to get through it. Or if you'd just like some individual sessions with me to reparent yourself, to give yourself what you needed as a child so that you can then better meet your children's needs or your unborn children's needs, then please be in touch. I would love to help you on that journey. Thank you so much, everyone. And until next time, bye for now.